At night, the thunder roared as the rain fell. Jang Pyeong, in the form of a wolf, concealed himself within the black mist. At that moment, he was in a tense situation, his mind constantly calculating. Although this person used appraisal techniques and had no attacking skills, his special weapon was still somewhat difficult to deal with. After all, it was of epic level. When their attacks were aimed at him, Jang Pyeong skillfully dodged. He focused on analyzing. It seems that the main strength of the Ju family relies on their equipment. Jang Pyeong utilized the black mist. Even though the energy of the mist had decreased by 10%, it still demonstrated tremendous power. He thought to himself, fortunately, even though my body is being suppressed, it does not affect my ability to activate the mist. Looking at the two Ju members, one blocking the attack and the other dodging, he couldn't help but wonder. The one using telekinesis, why isn't he using it to attack me? The small one named Hwang, I suddenly drew his bow, shooting a force akin to a lightning bolt radiating golden light. That beam shot straight towards Jang Pyeong. He was bombarded with attacks and barely managed to fend off that strike. Meanwhile, the leader, Ju Taek-jun, would not relent. He coldly prepared another attack while saying, I guess your abilities will drain your energy, right? Let's see how long you can keep resisting. Jang Pyeong fell to his knees on the ground, not saying anything, only quietly observing the situation. Perhaps it wasn't that he didn't want to fight back, but rather that he couldn't. Seeing him sitting still, Ju Taek-jun's gaze was filled with killing intent as he asked, Are you in shock? At that moment, an arrow shot through the air like lightning. Jang Pyeong struggled to block it with mist. Finally, he decided to try using his new technique, ground energy ingestion, with only 25% of his mist reserve left. The mist quickly transformed into small daggers that flew toward the opponent. A notification sounded, mist reduced by 15%. Ju Taek-jun angrily swatted the projectile aside and shouted, Are you still trying to struggle? Suddenly, a cloud of black mist rose from the ground, immobilizing both enemies. Jang Pyeong controlled the mist, speaking coldly, You don't fight back against my attack because you need to aim at the target first to unleash your psychic power. Wang was startled upon hearing this. What? Immediately, Jang Pyeong sprang forward to attack. He believed that, as I predicted, as long as I can restrain this guy, the psychic power will become ineffective. Ju Taek-jun called out in surprise, Wang Ai! But it was too late. Hwang, I was astonished to see Jang Pyeong in front of him. His speed was too fast. The fog transformed into a blade and a notification appeared. Fog reduces 10%. Jang Pyeong directly stabbed into Wang Ai's stomach. He could only think, I can't move. Nevertheless, he still strained to use his mental power, injuring himself in the process. Wang Ai tightly grasped Jang Pyeong's wrist, smiling triumphantly. Almost let you have your way. Fortunately, I forced my right hand to break free from the binding. Taek-jun stood on the other side, looking disdainful, and said, So, this is your last energy, huh? Wang Ai stood on the ledge, mocking, Just crippling my hand isn't enough. You have to cripple me completely too. With this kind of attack, it's basically impossible. Before he could finish his sentence, Jang Pyeong activated the Fire Devourer Flamebind ability. Flames erupted, spreading everywhere. Wang Ai was caught off guard, screamed, and quickly used his palm to push Jang Pyeong away, cursing at the same time. Damn it! Jang Pyeong immediately noticed a lightning bolt charging straight at him. He couldn't dodge in time and took the full brunt of the attack, causing a sharp pain in his chest, forcing him to kneel down. Wang Ai laughed mockingly. Quite a few tricks, huh? Jang Pyeong silently thought, I didn't expect their clothes to be fire-resistant. Both of them immediately unleashed their mental powers. Wang Ai concluded with a remark, but it should end here. Jang Pyeong clutched his chest, panting, but still said, There's not much time left. Taek-jun sneered, You mean the time before you die, right? Jang Pyeong looked straight at them and coldly replied, No. From behind him, two streams of water appeared, twisting like tentacles. His voice continued to resonate steadily. This is the time I have to immobilize you. Having said that, the tentacles lunged forward to attack. Wang Ai was stabbed through before he could react, while Taek-jun was lucky enough to block it, but he shouted loudly, About to die and still talking tough. Not only did Taek-jun evade, but he also managed to shoot an arrow towards Jang Pyeong. He was astonished, but with quick reflexes, he hurriedly dodged to the right. The arrow grazed his shoulder, leaving a sharp pain. Behind Taek-jun, the figure of Ryu Sasa unexpectedly appeared, attacking with a sword. Taek-jun shouted, Reinforcements are here. But when he turned around and saw Wang Ai lying motionless on the ground, he was astonished. This girl, did she take care of Wang Ai with one move? He hurriedly used his bow to block Sasa's sword strike, but her strength was too great, directly throwing him far away. Unwilling, Taek-jun asked, Who the hell are you? Sasa fell silent and did not respond, only continuously attacking and relentlessly. Taek Jun, sensing the unfavorable situation, sweated and gritted his teeth, saying, "Damn it! That bastard has drained too much of my energy." After that, he summoned a ring and said, "This is the only thing I can use." Taek Jun put the ring on his hand and immediately began to glow. A bolt of lightning struck down from the sky. Seeing that something was wrong, Sasa shouted, "Stop!" But it was too late. The power of the lightning was too strong, causing the ground to explode and debris to fly everywhere. The light from the lightning mixed with the air, creating a swirling pressure. Sasa quickly grabbed Jang Pyeong, who was now unconscious, and ran away. Fortunately, Jang Pyeong was unharmed. She stood watching the crater left by the lightning, silently relieved. Taek Jun fled. She expressed her regret, saying, "It's a pity I couldn't capture the remaining remnants of the Ju family." Meanwhile, Jang Pyeong lay exhausted beside her. On the radio, Mani's voice came through slowly. "Quickly bring Jang Pyeong back," she asked in confusion. "What's wrong?" Then Mani's announcement shocked her. The illusory curtain has been broken. Beside him building, Nak Sai-yu was standing on the rooftop, using an umbrella to shield herself from the rain. Hwang Taek-mayong appeared from behind and respectfully asked her, "Your Highness, may I ask why you summoned me back?" Nak Sai-yu's icy voice blended with the sound of falling rain. "About the mutant beast. How is the assembly outside the city coming along?" Taek-mayong bowed his head and replied, "Your Highness, it is all prepared." Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck from afar, startling Taek-mayong. Nak Sai-yu frowned and asked about the occurrence. What was that sound? Taek-mayong clearly knew what it was. That was the thundering call, "Ju Taek Jun is in trouble." But he quickly sought to explain. Could it be thunder? Suddenly, Nak Sai-yu turned around. He saw the shadow of a truly bloodthirsty fox lurking behind the human guys, asking, "Did you notice anything unusual?" Taek-mayong broke into a sweat, his voice hesitant. "No." Above him, the oppressive power of the fox radiated from Nak Sai-yu. She kept searching for something odd about him. Then, "What are you so tense about?" Beneath her feet was the shadow of a large, terrifying fox. Taek-mayong, being clever, found himself a reasonable excuse. "Your Highness, since childhood, I have been afraid of thunder." Nak Sai-yu disdainfully snorted. Useless thing. However, she did not overlook it, but thought. This sound came from inside the city, but now she couldn't see anything at all. Just like back then, Nak Sai-yu remembered when she was chasing her prey. At that time, the person was seriously injured, undoubtedly dead, but at just one turn, he disappeared without a trace. To escape my sight so openly. Nak Sai-yu was skeptical, jumping down from the rooftop, her mind speculating. It seems that this is just a kind of advanced trick to obscure vision. The illusions of humans do not work on my kind. She smirked, amused. Her red eyes shone brightly in the dark night. A hunt began. In her mind, she deduced, they must be using something else to indirectly obscure my line of sight. Perhaps the entire city of my own Ju is just an illusion. Her gaze began to change. A proud voice echoed, just as anticipated. Then she directly deployed her field, using her tail to scan the surroundings, observing the dark mass in the sky. Below, she posed the question, "Where did the female student of Hana School go?" She whispered, "I don't know what happened, but the illusory curtain is definitely fading." At this moment, Jang Pyeong had woken up, trembling as he called out, "Elder sister Sa." He pointed to the corpse of Wang Sam, his voice shaking as he said, "Use that." Sessa looked over at the nightingale lantern, but Jang Pyeong insisted, "Quickly go." At this time, the aura of the lake demon was spreading throughout the city. This aura enveloped everything densely, with no gaps. Watchful eyes were searching for the elusive target. In a corner behind a building, eyes were staring intently at it. Nak Sai-yu turned in that direction, her blood-red eyes locking onto the target. I found the rat. In the distance, Taek Jun was sprinting through the rain, carrying the saintly maiden. While fleeing, he almost forgot to take the saintly maiden with him. Nak Sai-yu's voice startled Taek-mayong. "It's so late, yet someone is leaving the city." He panicked. "We're doomed," detected us, as he intended to stop her and said, "Your Highness, wait." But she immediately darted towards Taek-ju. Taek-mayong felt helpless. "It's over, we can't stop her." In another place outside the city, a voice rang out, "Urgent intelligence. Urgent intelligence." A group of people dressed in black cloaks listened intently to the announcement from Taek-jun. The cleaning team is hiding inside the city. There's also an assassin named Jang Pyeong. Our actions tonight have been disrupted by him. Hwang Sam and Hwang I are dead. The others listened in shock. Taek-jun's voice continued urgently. "Finally, a rescue team from the cleaning team has arrived. I have no choice but to use Thundering Call." Taek-jun's brother, with a serious expression, asked, "Brother, are you saying that the name Jang Pyeong is still alive?" Taek-jun replied, "That's right. but I have checked his information. Besides the cleaning team, he also operates out of a forge called Iron Soul. Taek Jun's brother responded, "Understood. But the urgent task now is for you to quickly get the Saintess out of the city." Suddenly, Taek Jun's voice rang out in fear. Nak Sai Yu, why are you here?" Taek Jun's brother, confused, asked, "What are you talking about?" Then, from the communication chip, his terrified scream echoed. Taek Jun's brother, looking worried, asked, "What happened? Answer me quickly, Ju Taek Jun." However, Taek Myeong appeared shouting, "Stop calling! The plan has failed. Ju Taek Jun has been killed by the fox." Taek Jun's older brother heard this and angrily shattered the communication token, shouting, "Damn it, had all our years of effort gone to waste?" But Taek Myeong replied, "No, the Saintess is still alive. She is the nemesis of the heavenly eternal fox. Wol Seo-jin has discovered that he cannot kill her, and he will definitely bring her back to the City Lord Mansion." Taek Jun, losing his patience, asked him, "So what are we supposed to do? Without the Saintess, how can we control those foxes?" Chu Taek Myeong calmly responded, "The City Lord Mansion has a secret passage that leads straight outside the city." He recalled that passage and then confidently stated, "Currently, only I know of it." Then he laid out his plan. "You will bring the mutant beast through that secret passage into the City Lord Mansion. It will cause trouble for the foxes. Meanwhile, I will take advantage of the chaos to get the Saintess out." A guy with hair covering one eye sitting above dismissed the idea. "It's easy for you to say. Wol Seo-jin is defending the City Lord Mansion. What can we possibly achieve just with the mutant beasts we've gathered?" Taek Myeong further explained, "Therefore, we must take advantage of the assassin Jang Pyeong from the clean team. Right now, Princess Seo-jin is monitoring the entire city. Any situation that arises will prompt her to act on her own. We just need to send elite troops to the forge to ambush Jang Pyeong. This way, we can draw Princess Seo-jin and the clean team in." He continued, "While the two sides are engaged in battle, we will control the mutant beast to ambush the City Lord's mansion, catching them off guard." The man with the hair covering one eye continued, "But if we do that, it will be equivalent to completely turning against the heavenly eternal fox." He asserted, "Therefore, we must succeed. Failure is not an option. Also, when you act, do not reveal my identity." Another man agreed, praising him. "You truly are the heir of the Jew family." The purple-eyed man with the hair covering one eye smiled slightly. He said, "We will continue to assist you when the Vice City Lords play. Saintess, we rely on you, Chu Tekmao." Darkness enveloped everywhere and whispers echoed. A hazy image of Seisel appeared. She asked, "Are you awake now? How do you feel? Is there anything uncomfortable?" Jang Pyeong regained consciousness. He sat up, looked around, and asked her, "Where is this?" Seisel replied, "This is the base of the cleaning team. The previous situation was urgent. We can only bring you here." He glanced over at the two hospital beds and saw someone else lying down. He asked, "Is team leader Kim Pae seriously injured?" Kim Pa's body was bandaged all over. Susa spoke up to explain, "I heard it was done by Nak Sai Yu." Without hesitation, she seemed to have sensed our presence. From outside, another person appeared and said, "Awake so soon? It looks like the recovery is going well." The person was Hyo Gidol visiting to check on Jang Pyeong's condition. She praised, "Facing 3 opponents 10 levels above you alone and even managing to kill one. How did you do that?" She was extremely interested as she scrutinized him. Logically, if the level difference is more than 5 levels, the opponent should have the ability to take you down in an instant. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "I'm a newcomer. It's better to be a bit discreet." Sesa then introduced him. "This is Hyo Jiol. Earlier, she introduced her ability as solar charging. She treated your injuries." Jang Pyeong felt apprehensive, his laughter a bit forced. "I'm just lucky. Today, being called a major disaster that didn't kill me, I must be destined for great fortune. This time, it's thanks to Sister Hyo. Without everyone, I don't know how many times I would have died." Hyo Gyeol replied cheerfully, "It's nothing serious. Anyway, I don't need to maintain the illusory curtain anymore." Hearing this, Jang Pyeong thought to herself, "I've heard that Hyo is a rigid person, but she doesn't seem to be that way." Then Hyo Gyeol continued, "All right, let's stop with the pleasantries here. If you're awake now, go meet everyone." Jang Pyeong sweated inwardly. "I'll take back what I just thought." Hyo Gyeol went on, "As for tonight's event, we need more comprehensive intelligence." In the office, John Rakbai was mumbling in her sleep. Manny irritably muttered, "Why is there always so much work that never seems to end?" Finally, Manny lay down on the table and declared, "Captain, I am submitting my resignation." Rakbai, still asleep, raised her hand in agreement. Hearing this, Manny's eyes sparkled as she said, "Oh, so Rakbai is awake. Lend me a hand with some of the work. However, Rakbai did respond and merely snored. Manny, frustrated, crumpled the paper tightly. In the end, Manny kept attacking Rakbai, shouting, "Wake up!" But Rakbai was able to easily avoid all her attempts. Sudhu, watching the two girls fooling around, didn't know what to say and could only laugh helplessly, comforting. There's nothing that can be done. The headquarters is short-staffed right now, so just endure a bit. Outside, two other people entered. One person called out, "Captain." Sudhu turned to look and asked, "Have you arrived?" Manny immediately jumped at Hyo-gil, happily saying, "Let me help you with some of the work." Hyo-gil cheerfully responded, "You're still my favorite sister, Hyo." Sudhu looked at Jang Pyeong and stated directly, "Let's get straight to the main topic. Our previous prediction was that the Jew family had teamed up with the Heavenly Eternal Fox to eliminate opposing forces. But now I believe that there is no real cooperation between them. It is not hard to notice that the Jew family has installed a barrier. They must have been aware of the existence of the mirage of the Heavenly Veil, but did not inform the Heavenly Eternal Fox about it. This shows that they want to take advantage of the illusory curtain to do something. Thinking of the image of the fox spirit and the Jew family," he continued, "my speculation is based on the premise that submitting to others is not the Jew family style. However, with their current strength, they cannot confront the Heavenly Eternal Fox. Therefore, the girl they took from Manhwa Academy last night is likely the key to dealing with the Heavenly Eternal Fox." Hyo-gil continued to explain, "The principal of Manhwa School, Jin Hak-yi, has only one son, Jin Ho-mun. According to information, he passed away 40 years ago and never got married. That same year, Jin Hak-yi suddenly announced to the outside world that he had a granddaughter named Jin Gunjong. Our investigation found that this Jin Gunjong does not share the bloodline of the Mayeon Jew family. It is very likely that she comes from a village outside the city. It seems that Jin Hak-yi loved this granddaughter very much. For 40 years, he did not allow her to have contact with anyone. Her personal records are as clean as a blank sheet of paper. Even whether she is awakened or what abilities she has awakened are completely unrecorded. The image of the Saintess appeared in Hyo-gil's mind. Jang Pyeong quickly stepped forward and said, "I know her abilities. I have already used the identification technique with her before." Both of them were surprised, waiting for him to continue. Her ability seems to be called Saintess Blood. Sudhu was startled. Divine Matriarch. Outside the city. Could it be Holy Ancestor? He anxiously thought, no, it can't be a coincidence like that. Jang Pyeong continued to share what he knew. In the City Lord Mansion, Nak Sai-yu and the Saintess Gunjong are sitting across from each other. The cheerful girl Gunjong says, "This place is so big, Cess. Do you still live here?" Nak Sai-yu replies seriously, "Yeah." Gunjong innocently asks again, "It seems like your complexion isn't very good. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" Nak Sai-yu answers briefly, "No." Gunjong smiles and pours tea for her. "I know. Grandpa said that when you're not happy, you should eat a little more. Have some tea." Nak Sai-yu irritably snaps, "Want to die." Immediately, the foxtails shot out, heading straight towards Gunjong. The girl looks in shock at the thing rushing towards her, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, Gunjong's golden eyes light up, startling Nak Sai-yu. The foxtails cannot touch the girl. Gunjong, unbothered, even smiles brighter while handing her a pastry. "Sis, why aren't you eating?" She stuffed the pastry into Nak Sai-yu's hand and kindly added, "This cookie is really delicious. I just had one." Nak Sai-yu feels uneasy inside. Why can't I make a move? Gunjong innocently laughs and says, "Delicious, ha." Nak Sai-yu can only mumble, "Yeah," just to let it go, and observes the girl in front of her. Suddenly, she feels a bit ashamed about the recent attack. Wait, why am I feeling shame towards a human? Gunjong took a sip of tea and grimaced. "This is really hard to drink." The girl continued to complain. "This tea is of such poor quality. The person who brewed it must be an idiot. No wonder you're not happy." Nak Sai-yu felt her pride hurt and muttered, "Am I an idiot?" The girl left a message. "I'll go make another pot. Just wait a moment." Then she happily ran off. Nak Sai-yu sat there, feeling very confused. What is wrong with me? Why do I feel guilty? As the king of the Heavenly Eternal Foxes, I shouldn't have problems. The issue definitely lies with that person. Nak Sai-yu revealed her true form, posing a big question in her heart. Who is she really? At this moment, Sasa and Jang Pyeong were training. She rushed towards him, attacking while not forgetting to analyze Jang Pyeong's power. Your mist is very similar to my water element. For example, the ability to control thoughts or change shape on your own. But there is one difference in their origins. She unleashed her water energy, with water jets shooting out like arrows, and continued speaking. The water element can be recycled, used in a cycle, but your mist is consumed, used only once. Then she explained the reason for the issue. That's because you can't turn the fog back into its intangible form. If your fog were like water, capable of switching between the three states of gas, liquid, and solid, it would be much more practical. Jang Pyeong used a short knife to block her attacks. However, he just smiled helplessly at her analysis. In his mind, he recalled the image of Gaara from Naruto and told himself, there is an advantage to the fog not being a physical entity. At least I don't have to store it and gourd and can carry it with me. Lost in thought, Sessa suddenly rushed forward, shouting, "Pay attention!" Jang Pyeong was startled and, caught off guard, took her hit directly. His whole body was thrown back, but luckily he managed to use the fog to regain his balance and avoid crashing into the wall. He thought to himself, at least I can still use the fog to cushion the blow. Meanwhile, Sessa had somehow risen into the air. Using Blizzard Storm, she told him. Fortunately, you could absorb the fear of living beings to transform it into fog. This will compensate for the durability deficiency to a certain extent. The attacks rained down, but Jang Pyeong nimbly dodged them. He confidently thought that with his skills, these attacks could be easily avoided. But suddenly, the ice blocks on the ground began to melt, transforming into a stream of water that tightly bound Jang Pyeong's limbs. He panicked, feeling that something was wrong. At that moment, he realized that the ice blocks were made from the water. Just now, all of his attention had been drawn to the icicles from above. Sessay smirked and reminded him, if your opponent isn't afraid of you, the fog will dissipate and drain very quickly. Even though Jang Pyeong was pointed out, he still smiled. His purple eyes lit up, and he confidently replied, if that's the case, as long as my attack power is strong enough, I just need one hit to kill my opponent. As soon as he finished speaking, Sessa suddenly sensed that something was off. Above her, a dagger covered in fog appeared. Sessay taunted, then let me see how strong your attack is. She immediately used water prison to surround herself, but the torrents of fog rushed in like a storm, assaulting her defenses. When the dagger pierced through the water prison, Sessa was astonished. He could actually break through the water prison and get inside. Jang Pyeong, despite being tied up, cheerfully said, Sister Sessa, you lost. Sessay lavished compliments. Your fog power can surpass levels and break through my defenses. Truly impressive. The match ended. She stood up straight and pondered. Perhaps the mutant beast fog is a successor of the king-level mutant beast, inheriting such traits. That's why your fog has the ability to deal damage beyond its level. But she looked at him. Aren't you still lacking combat experience? If this were a life and death battle, you'd be toast right now. Hearing that, Jang Pyeong was confused. Toast? What do you mean? Immediately, he understood her meaning when he shouted, It hurts? It's too hot, too hot. Why is the water boiling all of a sudden? Sessa crossed her arms and taught him. Understanding the nature of your abilities is very important. You can't just focus on improving for no reason. It's like water can transform into ice, hot water, or fog. If not well controlled, these can all lead to unpredictable consequences during a fight. While she was talking, Jang Pyeong smiled unfriendly. He created a slime from the fog, shaped it into a spider, and held it up in front of her, teasing. Is this what you mean, Sister Sessa? Sessa fearfully stepped back. She shouted loudly, Spider, get away. Get away from me now. She sprayed water straight into Jang Pyeong's face. Jang Pyeong was taken by surprise, drenched, and accidentally swallowed a few gulps of water. She gasped in fear upon seeing Jang Pyeong's condition, hastily grabbed his neck and shook him back and forth, pleadingly saying, Spit it out. My water element is pure water. It has mild poison. Jang Pyeong grimaced, trying to suppress the feeling of nausea, and managed to say, Even if you don't get poisoned and die, you'll shake me to death. Then she quietly apologized, but Jang Pyeong just shook his head, not paying attention. He said, But your current form is a bit strange. My body feels so soft, I can't control it. As soon as he finished speaking, the lower half of his body suddenly turned into water. His pants fell down, revealing his bare water body. One of his arms also turned into water, causing him to scream in panic. My arm! Sessa, what do we do? Sessa was equally confused, staring at him in astonishment and asking, Could it be that you got poisoned and melted? Jang Pyeong was surprised and began to speculate. Could it be that I just awakened a new skill? He used appraisal, and this time, the result became clear. His mutator had a 10% chance of gaining a corresponding special physique when swallowing a special item. As a result, he had awakened the skill Pure Water Body, Beginner. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, This time, the effectiveness of the level 6 gem effect not only helped me awaken one but two talents. Pure Water Body is easy to understand, but what is Omnivore? What kind of ability is that? Sessa worriedly asked, Jang Pyeong, what's wrong with you? You aren't really poisoned, are you? At this moment, Jang Pyeong had stripped off his clothes and replied comfortably, "It's okay. I think I can transform back. I just need a little time to get used to it." He began to think. If body of radiant mist and pure water body have similarities, then the transformation ability must be similar to mist. I just need to feel my body a bit more carefully. After thinking that, his body turned into a puddle of water on the floor. Then, Jang Pyeong slowly transformed into a stick figure, and then happily changed into a shape resembling a pine tree. Each time he transformed, he felt extremely satisfied. Finally, after a period of experimentation, he returned to his original form. He excitedly showed off. "Sister Sesa, look, I've transformed back." But at that moment, Sese turned back to look at him with her face flushed. She hurriedly turned her face away to avoid direct eye contact, still kindly reminding him, "You should get dressed first." Hearing this, Jang Pyeong was startled and quickly put on his clothes. While he was fumbling around, she cautiously asked, "What on earth happened just now?" Jang Pyeong, while putting on his pants, casually replied, "It seems I accidentally drank the water you created. I have awakened the pure water body." Sesa was surprised and turned back to assess him. "Your growth rate is astonishing, especially this pure form. This is the ability that water elementalists have always dreamed of. I didn't expect you to awaken it so easily. Is this the infinite level?" Seeing her turn back while he still hadn't finished putting on his pants, Jang Pyeong felt embarrassed and quickly turned away. The two of them immediately turned their backs, trying to avoid each other's gaze. After Jang Pyeong finished putting on his pants, he noticed Sesa staring intently and awkwardly asked her, "Are you okay?" Sesa shyly replied, "I'm fine." Suddenly, the bright red crystal lit up like an alert. Sesa quickly picked it up and asked, "What's going on?" On the other end, a panicked voice echoed, "Team leader, the Iron Soul is under attack. Please send reinforcements." Hearing that, she hurriedly said, "Please ask the nearby teammates for support first. I will get there right away." The person on the other end immediately obeyed. Jang Pyeong beside her said, "Wang Jio-min, they are in danger. I want to go too." But Sesa waved her hand and said, "You can't go. This could very well be a trap." However, Jang Pyeong was still able to persuade her. He raised his water hand and said, "Don't worry today, you just awakened the pure water body. In a worst case scenario, you will be able to turn into water and escape." Unable to argue with him, she slowly said in resignation, "Really, I can't do anything about you. Stay close to me." Then they ran off. Jang Pyeong shouted loudly, "All right, follow me." When Jang Pyeong's group arrived at the Iron Soul Forge and saw several black-clad men lying on the ground, he was shocked and wondered, "Why are there so many assassins here?" Sesa began to assign tasks to the others. She said, "You lead a team to look for survivors. You take a team of defense forces to guard against the remaining assassins." Jang Pyeong hurriedly ran inside, heading to the back of the forge yard. He looked around and called out loudly, "Uncle Ryu, Wang Jio-min." Behind a wall, there was a shadowy figure. A trembling voice called his name. It was Chu Hyang. Her current appearance was disheveled, to the point that she had to lean against the wall to stand up. Chu Hyang's whole body shook as she tried to call Jang Pyeong's name. Jang Pyeong immediately shouted, "Chu Hyang!" Then he ran to her. Chu Hyang didn't have much time. She quickly pointed in a direction and said in a broken voice, "Hurry, Uncle Ryu, Wang Jio-min." Jang Pyeong hurriedly supported her, but Chu Hyang insisted, "Go over there, they are all injured." Hearing this, Jang Pyeong quickly supported Chu Hyang and then ran inside. She told the other two, "I'll go check over there. You stay here and take care of her." He started to bandage Chu Hyang's injured arm. Her once intact and beautiful arm was now only half intact. The air suddenly became tense. Jang Pyeong kept staring at the wound, hesitantly saying, "Sister, your arm." At that moment, although Chu Hyang was heartbroken, she stubbornly said, "It's okay. Losing an arm won't kill me." The sound of hurried footsteps echoed back. It was Sei-seb talking to the staff. "Get the injured back for treatment." He approached to assess the condition of the girl lying on the stretcher and asked, "Wang Jidolmin, how is she?" Before he could worry further, Sessa patted his shoulder and said, "Don't worry, they are just injured and unconscious. It's nothing serious." Then the staff used stretchers to move the injured people away. Chu Hyang was one of them. Before being taken away, she reminded Jang Pyeong, "Don't worry, we're fine. On the contrary, you need to be a little careful. Those assassins are all targeting you." She also asked, "Have you offended any major figures lately?" Jang Pyeong smiled and reassured her. "It's nothing, Sister Chu Hyang. You don't need to worry about me. Just focus on recovering well." When the injured had left, Sessa spoke up. "It's no longer safe in the city. The cleaning team will take them to a safe room outside the city for treatment." Jang Pyeong clenched her fist in anger and said, "Damn it, it's all my fault." Jang Pyeong tightened her fist and said, "The Beast Ting and Ju family is in this Ju city. Most of those who want to take my life are them." Sessa immediately responded, "I'll arrange for someone to investigate." Suddenly, a voice rang out. "The energy disturbance just now came from here. Many of our kind have died around here before. Could it be related to those two?" Hearing that voice, Jang Pyeong realized it was Nak Sai-yu, and she was very close. Then he realized there was a flying technique coming from above. Nak Sai-yu's voice still echoed. "It is currently an unusual period. Better to waste food than to overlook any threats." Jang Pyeong hugged Se-sa, jumping to the side to evade her attack. At that moment, Nak Sai-yu was sitting in the air, feeling quite amused. She looked down arrogantly, surprised that he could sense her attack. Jang Pyeong and Se-sa stood up. He stared at Nak Sai-yu and asked, "Are you okay?" She replied, "I'm fine." But she herself didn't understand why the details of this operation had been kept secret, why it could come here at this moment. Hearing her question, he said, "I guess it has been monitoring the entire city." Only then did Nak Sai-yu take a closer look at who the two below were. Seeing the familiar silhouettes, she exclaimed in surprise, "Jang Pyeong," and Jang Pyeong calmly responded, "Sai-yu, long time no see." After that, he tried to reassure himself and used assessment. The assessment was ongoing, but before there was a result, it was interrupted by Se-sa. She shielded in front of him and prepared to launch an attack. Se-sa yelled, "Quick, run away, I'll stop her." She used Blizzard Storm to attack directly towards Nak Sai-yu in the air. Jang Pyeong tried to assess the situation, but failed due to insufficient range for assessment. The ice shards flew out, not missing their target, as Nak Sai-yu easily dealt with them. She looked at Se-sa and, without hesitation, used her deadly move. It seemed her identity had been exposed. Nak Sai-yu used a shield to engulf the ice block, and at that moment, she also confirmed something and said, "Recently, this matter is indeed related to you." Behind Se-sa, a surge of power gathered like a deep pit, and it immediately shot towards her like a lightning bolt. However, Se-sa used the ice shield to block it. Nevertheless, the attack was too strong and broke through the ice shield, forcing Se-sa to jump away to dodge the attack. She questioned, "How could there be an attack that breaks through all my defenses?" Nak Sai-yu in the air smiled mockingly, her eyes full of disdain. She thought, "Being exposed is no big deal. She can't see through my illusion, merely relying on the cold air around her to predict my attack." Thinking of that, Nak Sai-yu laughed loudly and said, "Let's see how you defend this time." Then she attacked continuously with her tails. Se-sa, releasing cold air, was confused by the attacks from multiple directions and didn't know how to evade them. Jang Pyeong turned back and warned her, "Sister Se-sa, watch out on the top left." Upon hearing this, Se-sa was startled and quickly dodged. She felt fortunate that Jang Pyeong had come. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to resist at all. Then he shouted, "You just need to evade the attacks." Se-sa dodged the attacks coming from the 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 9 o'clock directions. Then she skillfully dodged the attacks from 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and again from 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock without taking any damage. Even from the 5 o'clock direction, she used her ice to block the attack. Nak Sai-yu narrowed her eyes, not understanding how Jang Pyeong knew this. Suddenly, one of her tails coiled back, its sharp end aimed in one direction. Jang Pyeong turned his head to look, his pupils contracted in fear, thinking only of evading. At this moment, Nak Sai-yu became angry and sulked, thinking, "Indeed, every time I attack, he can evade with precision." Seeing Jang Pyeong like a dancer, dodging her own tails, she thought, "It seems that Jang Pyeong is the one who can distinguish the disguise of our clan." Then Nak Sai-yu angrily said, "At that time, I should have killed you directly." She decided to use another move to challenge him, saying, "Let's see how long you can avoid." Jang Pyeong dodged while looking at Se-sa, confusedly thinking, "This is not good, I can't dodge while revealing our position to Se-sa." He thought of another way, saying, 3 circles to the left, 3 circles to the right. His body moved with the agility of ballet. Immediately, he stood behind Se-sa. While she was still dazed calling his name, Jang Pyeong used a thin mist to create a shield for both of them. He happily thought, just in time. The beak twitched and said, "Your anger seems a bit excessive. Is it because of your mood lately? Seeing yourself being teased like that?" Nak Sai-yu's mouth turned into fangs, somewhat hidden, yet praising it as interesting. She then unleashed the terrifying power of a leader. Smiling madly, she told Jang Pyeong, "You've hidden well enough. All those probing attempts were fooled by you." Using all the tails to cover and attack Jang Pyeong's small orb, the arrogant Nak Sai-yu pronounced judgment. "This time, your calamity is hard to avoid." She asked, "Can you fend off 3 tails? What about 3,000 tails?" The tails, like sharp spikes, flew towards them, Sesa and Jang Pyeong, using fog to create an additional layer of protection, but the force of the attack was too high. Watching countless tails stab towards them, the fog barrier showed signs of cracking, along with the system's announcement that fog reserves decreasing. Jang Pyeong gritted his teeth to hold on. Nak Sai-yu gently tucked her hair aside, smiling at the small amusement. Her words were filled with provocation. If you can last 1 second, that counts as your victory. The notification sounds kept ringing. Sesa's expression was extremely grim as she strained against this power. As the fog reserves neared depletion, Jang Pyeong thought helplessly. In a moment, I released 100% of the fog, yet couldn't hold on. Could it be I really don't die here? Suddenly, a voice told him, if you hold on, I can only create one opportunity for you. Jang Pyeong realized behind him was the clone of the captain, as he tried to withstand 3,000 tails from the beautiful Mak Sai-yu. Suddenly, a stream of golden smoke wrapped tightly around her body, preventing her from using her powers to attack. Nak Sai-yu was taken aback. What is this? Sadu's voice rang out. This is it? Jang Pyeong managed to respond and immediately stopped his power from surrounding his body. Then, like a Super Saiyan, he unleashed his energy, releasing the spiritual energy within him, causing the tails to scatter. Seizing the opportunity, he grabbed Sese's hand and, taking advantage of Nak Sai-yu's inability to attack, pulled her away. Jang Pyeong shouted loudly, Sister Sesa, let's go. Nak Sai-yu was infuriated, gritting her teeth and yelling loudly, trying to run, are you? Then she unleashed her power, breaking through the captain's golden smoke, intending to chase after them. But at that moment, Jang Pyeong and Sesa had completely vanished, and being tricked made her extremely angry. She immediately ordered all the heavenly eternal foxes within the city. All of you listen here, use all your strength to hunt down Jang Pyeong for me. Alive or dead, I want to see him. A while later, in the safe room outside the city of the cleaning team, in the hospital room, Chu Hyang had been treated. She asked again about what Jang Pyeong had told her. Now you are a member of the cleaning team, and the city of Myeongju has become the domain of those weighted foxes. Jang Pyeong confirmed and added, although they don't dare to act recklessly, the city is still not safe. He held her hand and gloomily said, I'm sorry, it's all because of you. Chu Hyang comforted him. It's all right, it's just an arm, you won't die from it. Besides, I still want to thank you for saving Uncle Ryu. They Sesa outside listened to their conversation. Jang Pyeong, unaware, continued, I will definitely find a way to take back the forge. Until then, everyone just has to endure a little hardship and hide outside the city for a while. She listened outside and then remembered the scene when he pulled her in by the hand. At that moment, she felt a pang of emotion. Unexpectedly, he had matured. Chu Hyang had noticed her and smiled lightly at him. That girl is still waiting for you. You should go take care of things first. When he left the hospital room, Jang Pyeong looked at her and asked Sesa, did you need something from me? Suddenly, she pouted and asked him, why didn't you just call me? Jang Pyeong realized he had misspoken and quickly corrected himself. Sister Sesa. Then he inwardly blamed Chu Hyang. Calling her some girl made me get it wrong. But after thinking it over, he still pondered, and it makes sense. Initially, it was acceptable to call Sister Sesa that way, but now that they know each other better, it feels a bit awkward. After all, he's lived 2 lives, so he's quite a bit older than her. While struggling with his thoughts, Sesa suddenly said, forget it, after all, it's just a mode of address. If you prefer to call me that way, then go ahead. This caught him off guard, but she immediately continued, follow me. As they were heading to the next location, Sesa took the opportunity to summarize the situation for him. Your identity has been exposed, so you probably won't be able to enter Myeongju for now. Just wait for the captain to arrange it. As if recalling something, she handed him a test tube and said, the intelligence you provided about the same test is very useful, along with effectively resolving the case of the rapist. Therefore, this is a reward from the cleaning team for you. Jang Pyeong took the test tube and looked at the liquid inside, guessing, is this golden blood? He examined the liquid more closely and jokingly asked, it can't be that golden blood, can it? Sesa replied, yes, it's indeed Kim Pa's golden blood. After a short pause, she continued, you will need to draw blood to store this. Normally, it will be used for healing or prolonging life. Try using it in the training room and see if you gain any energy. After that, she reminded him, this golden blood belongs to the type of energy veins, so it has the potential to be inherited by future generations. It's best for you to be prepared and be careful of girls who don't have the law watching them. Jang Pyeong looked at the thing in his hand and pondered. The inheritance ratio is only a probability. It's not 100%. Moreover, it's not certain whether I'll have a wife in the future. Why think so far ahead? Then he took a deep drink. I hope the essence can be effective. The body of radiant mist and pure water body were both based on it. After finishing the drink, Seisei curiously asked, "How was it? Did you gain any abilities?" However, he simply replied, "It seems nothing has changed." As soon as he finished speaking, a red liquid began to spread from his fingertip, startling Jang Pyeong. He immediately used appraisal. Confused, he asked, "Was it successful?" The essence also was an infinite level skill. The appraisal returned the message that, name, pure bloodline. The body transforms into pure blood and can merge into the target's body, quickly healing wounds. He also guessed that this pure bloodline seems to be able to accurately sense the target's state. Sessa, panicking, asked from the side, "What happened to your hand?" However, from Jang Pyeong's perspective, he noticed something. "Sessa, there's a wound on your face." Hearing this, she hurriedly covered it with her glasses and said, "No need to pay attention to it." Jang Pyeong guessed that it seemed like her wound had its own story. Then, Sessa asked further, "So besides this, is there anything else you can change?" He closed his eyes to sense, then described to her. In this state, he could sense the life state of all the spirits. He could merge with the opponent's body and heal all their wounds. Of course, the scar could also be erased. Sessa didn't care about his last words, she happily said. "So you can also restore Chu Haiyang's severed arm." Jang Pyeong was confident that, as long as there was enough blood, theoretically, even if a person was left with only a layer of skin, he could restore their body once again. He felt joyful as the pure water body could evade and the pure bloodline could heal others. Sasa hurriedly pushed her brother and said, "You should quickly go treat Chu Haiyang." Jang Pyeong cheerfully replied, "All right, I'm off now." Suddenly he asked her, "Sasa, since you've returned, can we talk? Not as comrades, but as old friends." Out of nowhere, her cheeks flushed slightly, and after hesitating for a moment, she agreed. At the same time, in a remote wilderness, everything was quiet until a loud roaring sound came from afar, causing the birds to scatter and creating chaos in the forest. Hundreds, even millions of wild monsters were marching in one direction, roaring furiously and indignantly, all heading towards a single location ahead. Manny noticed Seodu doing something. She glanced at the document the old man held, then wondered, "The file of Holy Ancestor? Captain, what are you looking at?" Hearing her question, Seodu suddenly began to tell a story. "I wonder if you remember, although the Jew family committed many cruel and inhumane acts while in power, since the beginning of beast taming, the Jew family has also been a heroic clan, standing against the natural disasters of Donghan. At that time, the head of the Jew family, Ju Jiok Yang, and Tang Yang Sin merged into one, like a radiant phoenix. Day after day, they soared into the sky, bringing light and warmth to humanity. He persevered for 15 years until he ultimately died from exhaustion." Hearing the old man's words, Manny replied, "I know. After Ju Jiok Yang died, he was buried in the Laknhat mountain range outside the city of Myeonju. The survivors outside the city, out of gratitude, protected his grave. Many years later, those people combined with the next generation gradually formed a village, which is Holy Ancestor. But what does this have to do with that village now?" Sadu, hearing her question, explained, "Holy Ancestor gives birth to a holy maiden every 100 years. The bloodline of the holy maiden can protect the village from any attacks by new beasts." Upon hearing this, Manny seemed to realize something and stammered, "Could it be that Jeon Gunjeong is the holy maiden from Holy Ancestor?" Saoju added, confirming her suspicion was correct. The Jew family intends to use the holy maiden to control the heavenly eternal fox. However, Manny still had a question. Why didn't the holy maiden appear at Hanha Academy? Moreover, in such an incident, does Holy Ancestor have no trace at all? Saodu remembered the eyes of the people in the Holy Ancestor, looking as if they wanted to eat him alive. He proposed a hypothesis. So, what if they are doing it on purpose? Under the pretext that the Saintess is imprisoned in the city, the Holy Ancestor could spark a war with Myeonju at any moment. She was horrified by their scheme, but she raised a question. Why would they do something like that? At that moment, Seodu referred to the events from 150 years ago. The city of Myeonju once had a tyrannical lord. In order not to repeat the mistakes of the Jew family, the cleaning team categorized her as a criminal, fled, and issued a wanted notice. Later, they allied with the current city lord and successfully expelled her from the city. After that, it is unknown how she managed to become the leader of the Holy Ancestor. As he spoke, he recalled a woman. He continued, "Perhaps she has always disregarded Myeonju, just waiting for the right moment to come back and invade." Upon hearing this, Manny realized she had been listening to an enormous, thrilling story. The safety team built numerous safe rooms in the wilderness. Those safe rooms were extremely secretive, some constructed in volcanic rock, others hidden underground or in trees. In safety room number 003, Sessa suddenly felt something vibrating. She was startled and guessed the source of the disturbance. Could it be the Jew family causing trouble again? She decided she had to go outside to investigate a bit. However, she looked at the people in the hospital room and felt worried. If this place was discovered, the injured would be in danger. She chose to leave Jang Pyeong here, relying only on him. Sessa found herself in a dilemma, unsure whether to leave him here or not. Meanwhile, Jang Pyeong was focused on something. After that, he happily revealed his accomplishment and shouted, "I did it." Sessa, puzzled by him jumping around like a monkey, asked, "What have you accomplished? Didn't this lamp run out of power?" Jang Pyeong then explained, "It has no energy, but I felt that just throwing it away would be a waste. So I tried to see if I could recharge it, and I successfully created the fire Devourer flame bind, infusing the flame into the lantern. Then I transformed my body into a pure water body to transfer energy to it. After that, I shifted to the pure bloodline form to add fire, and finally, I changed into the body of radiant mist. What was even more surprising was that the system announced the ghost lantern skill could conceal surrounding set information within a certain range." Jang Pyeong said cheerfully, "Finally, bringing in the fog makes it bright again. Moreover, it achieves a stronger effect." He placed the lantern next to Jeol-min and then talked to Se-sel while walking. It really feels like a dog dreaming of flies. Using the ghost lantern to conceal the safe room allows them to confidently go out and investigate. Outside, thousands of mutant beasts ran in a pack toward one direction, causing quite a stir. Sasa and Jang Pyeong were at a high point for easy observation. He raised a question. "Isn't that too many? When did the Jew family manage to control so many mutant beasts?" Finally, Sasa sent a report back to the headquarters. First, she told the headquarters communication device, "This is Ryu Seishian near safe room number 003. It is estimated that around 10,000 mutant beasts are heading toward Myeongju. The rank is not high, and the majority are forest wolves and bullet rabbits." At that time, Jang Pyeong pondered while observing the monsters, and he felt it was strange. Why are these mutant beasts running so energetically? It doesn't seem like they are heading somewhere. It looks more like they are running. As he said this, he suddenly noticed something. He hurriedly pointed in that direction to inform the person next to him, his voice slightly trembling. "Quick, look over there." Sessa followed his direction and was also startled by what she saw. She quickly reported to the headquarters and clarified, "There is still a large number of zombies advancing towards the city. The number is probably around." Watching the sea of zombies moving like a tide, continuously destroying everything, Sessa stammered out an estimated number, 50,000. On the headquarters side, Saidu was shocked at the figure of 50,000 as well. He thought seriously, 10,000 mutant beasts, 50,000 zombies, and the city are also the heavenly eternal fox and remnants of the Jew family. Right now, the manpower in the cave is insufficient. It's impossible to confront so many enemies at once. Then he thought he could only act himself, but suddenly he remembered something that made Saidu reconsider. He hurriedly said, "No, there is still one way." He quickly gave the order, "Money, John Rack by Hyo, prepare to activate the illusory curtain again." Money, confused, said, "But it's not the illusory curtain, is it?" Rack Yu hurriedly asked, "What does the captain mean?" Saju explained, "Yesterday, while supporting Jang Pyeong, I temporarily suppressed Wall Seo Jin. Its energy probably hasn't recovered yet. Although we can't rely on the patrol team and the investigation team, there are still many strong strategies within the city. On our illusory curtain, inscriptions warn, the undead are assaulting the entire city. When they broadcast this news throughout the city, Saju continued, once the awakened people in the city gather, we will sneak back into the protection of Myeongju's fortress. At the same time, we can avoid the surveillance of the heavenly eternal fox." After explaining everything, Saju concluded, "Let's act quickly." Everyone quickly understood the orders and acted. Saju began to switch the communication lines, then he commanded the two people on the other side. Ryu Sefsin, Jang Pyeong, I order both of you to stop as many mutant beasts and undead outside the city as possible to buy time for the personnel inside the city to gather. Then you received a response from the two. In safety room number 5, a handsome young man with glasses received the signal and said, "This is the branch. Please give instructions, Captain." The voice of Seidu rang out. Quickly approach safe room number 003 to support Ryu Sefsin. The handsome guy with glasses replied, "Guide." His teammates included a chubby blonde guy who eagerly said, "Let's charge." There was also a strong girl, and finally a handsome guy declared, "Let's go. It's our turn to enter the battlefield." At the City Lord mansion, the figure of Tekmaya was walking and pondering. He guessed that the raid on the blacksmith shop had probably been successful. Taking out a piece of jade, he transmitted information to inform the others that Wall Seo Jin was not at the City Lord mansion. He said, "We can proceed to the next step now." However, in response to Taekmyeong was laziness. On the other side, they were facing some troubles. He anxiously asked, "What kind of trouble?" The person on the other end quickly replied, "A group of unidentified people suddenly appeared outside the city. The mutated beasts are very frightened, so we can't control them for a moment. We don't know who it is." Sensing the seriousness of the situation, Taekmyeong shouted, "Stop talking nonsense. Hurry and deal with that quickly. If the plan fails, they won't survive." After finishing his words, he immediately cut the signal, feeling frustrated inside as he could not depend on this group of fire devourers. He quickly sought other ways, first having to find the Saintess, then waiting for the right moment to take her away. Taekmyeong heard a noise from behind and turned around. It was the first patrol team approaching. He saw the team leader, Rim Jujuk, and asked, "What is he doing here and bringing so many people along?" He quickly greeted the other party. "Isn't that Captain Rim? Why do you have time to come here today? It must be because the city lord hasn't returned yet, so if there's something important, you can let me know first." Juk's gaze was fixed straight ahead as he walked past him, without saying a word. Taekmyeong was surprised that the other party ignored him. Could it be that he had sensed something? The large hall door was opened by Juk. Taekmyeong was stunned to see everything behind that large door. He wondered, what is going on here? When he saw a ball taking place right inside the city lord mansion. Jeon Gunjeong wore a magnificent gown, cheerfully waving her hands to welcome those who entered. She enthusiastically said, "More friends have joined us. Let's have fun together." Juk took a sip of wine, suddenly coming to his senses, not understanding how he ended up in such a place. Earlier, it seemed that your highness had given him some instructions. After pondering for a moment, he recalled the sly face of Jang Pyeong. Only then did he remember that he had to go catch him. Juk was so startled that he spat out the wine. Gunjeong noticed him and sweetly scolded, "Truly, this uncle is too reckless." Juk looked at her, guessing that she had called him to have fun. He felt confused as he realized this feeling, which seemed similar to that of his own royal family. Gunjeong wiped the wine stain off Juk's body while muttering, "Grandpa said, do not waste anything." Juk naturally knelt down and shouted clearly, "Dear holy lady." She was bewildered, not understanding why everyone called her that. Gunjeong had clearly told them that she was a friend. Then she smiled happily, took his hand and suggested, "Let's go dance." Taekmyeong had been witnessing this scene all along and reflected in his mind, "Dear holy lady, the holy lady can only influence mutated beasts." Could it be? Rim Juk has also been replaced by the heavenly eternal fox. Such an important matter that Fox did not inform me about. It seems it doesn't trust me much. Looking at the people around in the situation, he was sure that there were no survivors left in the patrol team. Even those present might have been transformed by the heavenly eternal fox. Taekmyeong guessed that they seemed to be under Gunjeong's control at that moment. Moreover, she herself was unaware of it. If he could convince her to work for them, the plan could move to the next phase. So Taekmyeong timidly called out to Gunjeong and asked her, "Is it fun?" When Gunjeong was asked like that, she honestly replied, "At first, I just wanted to find a few new friends. I didn't expect Sister Sai-yu would organize such a big dance for me." Then she asked, "Why hasn't Sai-yu come back yet?" Taekmyeong made an excuse. Maybe she still has unfinished business. Meanwhile, he secretly cursed Gunjeong as a rotten girl. The people here were brought in by her. He began to play tricks on her, saying, "I know a place that's even more fun. If you want to go play together?" Gunjeong directly pushed away the hand holding hers and arrogantly said, "No way." She rubbed her hands and said, "We haven't played enough yet, and besides, I don't know you." Gunjeong's eyes suddenly became frightening as he asked, "But how do you know my name?" Taekmyeong, terrified, looked at the people around him who had stopped and were staring at him. The silence was eerie, with red eyes glowing in the still darkness, silently watching him. Currently near safety room number 003, Sessa began to use her power, employing a large amount of water to attack the mutated beasts in front of her. Jang Pyeong dodged the attack from the monster group and informed her, "I gathered them all together. Hurry and freeze them." Sessa received the command and immediately used ice to freeze them. However, this did not hold for long. The mutated beasts directly charged through the ice blocks, shattering the thick layer of ice and frantically rushing to attack. Sessa fearfully said to him, "This is bad, there are too many of them." Jang Pyeong quickly took on the task. "I'll go and hold them back." Thanks to these mutated beasts, he had accumulated a lot of fear energy, so now he could freely use Brilliant Mist Essence. The Night Mist created many Night Wolves, and he would continuously release Brilliant Mist Essence 100, effortlessly transforming it into a mighty dragon soaring in the sky. Jang Pyeong must wait for reinforcements to arrive. They will try to hold back the mutated beasts that are rushing towards them. Holy Ancestor Village, movement unknown, zombies and mutated beasts attacking Pearl City from 3 sides. King Yu, dormant. Princess Yu, patrolling within the city. Celestial foxes, gathered at the City Lord Mansion staying still. Ju family, preparing to enter the City Lord Mansion. The dragon that Jang Pyeong turned into mist soared into the sky. He said, "What you see is a mutant beast." He looked at the mutated beasts approaching him, but what he saw was a stream of dark energy and endless experience points flowing towards him. Therefore, the dragon directly attacked the mutated beasts. Experience notifications rang out continuously. Hearing those notifications, he joyfully struck down hundreds of them. Surely he would be able to level up his attributes or rank. One mutated beast sensed that something was wrong and howled to its kind, reminding everyone to split up and encircle the dragon. Thus, a wave of mutated beasts split into 2 and surrounded Jang Pyeong. He sighed, "They are still very smart. However, this giant dragon here can still sweep them away." Jang Pyeong observed the situation and assessed that the mutant beasts were only trying to escape, fundamentally lacking any will to fight. A sharp ice spike grew from the ground, piercing through the body of a mutant beast. Those who escaped the clutches of Jang Pyeong's evil dragon were elated, with one mutant beast saying, "Brothers, there are no dragons in front, we are safe now." However, he did not expect that after getting past the dragon, they would encounter the Snow Queen. She slowly said to him, "I will deal with these escaping fish." The mutated beasts were pierced by sharp ice arrows, turning into donuts. One mutant beast that was attacked cursed the one who just said they were safe. "You deceived us." Seeing her clean up those beasts, Jang Pyeong happily said, "Sessa is doing very well," but she told him not to get distracted as the mutant beasts were charging again. Jang Pyeong thought it would be great if there were a system to record how many monsters I've defeated. Looking at the monsters showing no signs of diminishing made him feel disheartened. Frustrated, the great evil dragon Jang Pyeong shouted, "Damn it, it's not over yet." Then he used his tail to swat them away. Suddenly, from another direction, 3 attacks came from fire, lightning, and rocks. They rushed to attack, striking directly at one side of the great evil dragon. Jang Pyeong was hit and was stunned, unable to believe it. What was happening? He quickly looked in the direction from which the attacks originated to assess the situation. When he turned around, he could only see 3 zombies. Jang Pyeong was truly astonished. They even knew how to use fire, stone, and lightning magic to attack an ordinary person like him. He thought zombies only knew how to bite. It was indeed a pattern that could not be relied upon. Immediately, he began the assessment. After a successful assessment, the system displayed information about the zombie race, faction, Holy Ancestor Village, tier, non-rank, level, and grade at level 6. The huge dragon had several zombies clinging to it, but what he was concerned about was their origin. They came from the Holy Ancestor Village. He had to quickly find an opportunity to sync this intelligence with the headquarters. Seeing the zombies biting and tearing through his mist, Jang Pyeong violently thrashed his body, tossing them off. He bared his teeth and said, "Get lost." However, in his mind, he knew that zombies were not afraid and would continue like this. The dark mist would eventually run out. Suddenly, Sessa shouted, "Jang Pyeong, keep your distance from them." Then the zombies clinging to him were driven away by a layer of water enveloping the dragon's body. Jang Pyeong seized the opportunity and came up with an idea. He told them to try this tactic and then grabbed a few of them from his body. Jang Pyeong flew up off the ground, maintaining a distance from the zombies. At the same time, the ones he captured were engulfed in flames. Jang Pyeong, being a good citizen, reminded them, "My fire is a bit intense, you will have to endure it." Then the Fire Devour Flame Bind was unleashed. This was a combined technique which he called Zombies Fireballs, using the burning zombies to throw his fireballs straight at the 7 zombies on the ground. The amount of experience gained was proportional to the number of zombies burned to ashes, and even all attributes were also increased. Jang Pyeong was satisfied. His attributes were now nearly doubled. He was fully awake at the same level. At the same time, Sissa was continuously making slicing cuts to the oncoming zombies. She used the sword technique blade waltz to create graceful sword cuts, attacking swiftly at the crazed zombies. However, there were still too many for her to clear completely. A zombie carrying a weapon attempted to strike from behind, and Sessa shouted, "This is not good." But fortunately, Jang Pyeong appeared in time. This great evil dragon shouted at the other guy, "Take a hit from me." Heaven-crushing Sessa invincible kick. Upon hearing the name of the technique, she asked, "What are you talking about?" But Jang Pyeong only awkwardly replied, "Nothing." The purple smoke began to spread throughout his body. The black dragon started to shrink. Jang Pyeong's voice announced, "The first batch of beasts and zombies has been dealt with. The quantity is about 1,000. In a half an hour, the black dragon will completely vanish. After that, Jang Pyeong also manifested in human form. He was still puzzled about one thing. Speaking of which, how can these zombies still use their powers? Slowly responding, she said, I'm afraid they were all awakened beings when they were alive. Jang Pyeong thought about it and speculated that such a method of torment could only be Jew family. But Jang Pyeong countered, because I just identified that the zombies belong to Holy Ancestor Village. Sevyu's voice resonated from the main headquarters. Exactly, he'd explained that although the Jew family is cruel, beast taming is a kind of faith for them. They look down on using tricks like controlling zombies. He recalled Holy Ancestor Village and said, from my preliminary reasoning, this incident is likely related to Holy Ancestor Village. Jang Pyeong's identification further proves this point. Hearing that this was related to Holy Ancestor Village, Seychelle was very astonished. Just by going there, she'd have guessed. In other words, that person was responsible for this. The scar on her face was also a gift from that woman. The current leader of Holy Ancestor Village, she had looked at Seychelle with a contemptuous gaze that she could never forget. Then Seychelle realized that the green smoke surrounding them right now was quite problematic. She hurriedly told Jang Pyeong, hold your breath, this gas is toxic. Jang Pyeong immediately held his breath, but he sensed that this smell was familiar. It was the smell of rotten eggs, more precisely, hydrogen sulfide, A2S. Previously, when he participated in a rescue team, he had encountered a serious fire caused by hydrogen sulfide, A2S. If the gas contained hydrogen sulfide, A2S, it would ignite. Recalling this, he turned to remind her, Sessa, be careful of an explosion. She, hearing this, asked in confusion, what do you mean? However, Jang Pyeong only replied briefly, there is no time to explain, just trust me. Receiving Jang Pyeong's answer, he began to create a spark with Fire Devourer Flame Bind, flames flickering at his fingertips. Then, everything around them exploded, burning fiercely. The announcement echoed, Fire Devourer, the supply of fire is gradually increasing. The water orbs surrounding Seychelles' body began to dissolve. Jang Pyeong sensed something and alerted her. Get ready, the second wave of zombies is coming. Seychelles was astonished upon hearing this. Weren't you just saying that there was still half an hour left? Behind the thick cloud of dust, dark figures gradually appeared. He was startled and tense as he looked at it and reminded her, wait, what is that? Then he immediately used identification to check. The system kept identifying the creature that appeared in front. The figure sat on a large, headless zombie monster. He was extremely interested in the one who had managed to break his poison. The opponent praised Jang Pyeong and Seychelles, saying, you two fire devourers have quite a bit of courage. Seeing the identification result was a failure, Jang Pyeong pondered. Strange, the identification of the team leader before was successful, yet this time it failed. Just like Nak Sai Yu, is it because I haven't practiced enough that I can't identify a target of a higher level? If that's the case, then he commanded the identification of all the zombies within sight. In the field, the announcement appeared. You have successfully identified 16,888 times. At this moment, he had obtained advanced identification techniques, upgraded to strategic level identification techniques. Therefore, he could identify targets above level 30. Thus, Jang Pyeong confirmed that the opponent was Jua Hyang Mayang, a pinnacle, awakened master at level 39 from Holy Ancestor. At this moment, Jua Hyang Mayang raised his hand to think. Although he really wanted to take action himself, he had something more important to do now. He ordered the green monster, go, bring them back to me, no matter their state of life or death. After successfully identifying, he turned to say to Sessa, the identification shows that this person is a master at level 39. Sessa was shocked by what he just said. Level 39, really? Then he explained to Jang Pyeong, the abilities of an awakened person will gradually change according to their usage habits. Ultimately, they will become the form that best suits the user. However, if the mental power of the awakened person is not strong enough, they will be fanshi by their own abilities and eventually become slaves to their powers. They call such people fallen ones. Moreover, fallen ones are all very powerful. This time they have encountered trouble. Jang Pyeong realized that the group of zombies was also advancing towards the two of them. A frightening zombie was about to reach out to attack, but he used brilliant mist essence to create a sword and struck it down. Another giant zombie appeared wielding an axe. It charged towards Seychelles, who was dealing with several smaller zombies using her ice sword. The giant swung the axe powerfully, repeating a single phrase, kill Seychelles. Seychelles struggled to block the attack with her ice sword. She kept her distance from the dangerous opponent and quickly informed the headquarters. Headquarters, this is Ryu Sefshin. A fallen one has appeared. He's riding a giant zombie. Your power cannot withstand this. He is leading a large number of zombies moving towards the north of the city. Seeing the overwhelming strength of the zombies, Ka calmly remarked on the level of the opponent. His level is 39, extremely dangerous. Jang Pyeong successfully assessed the attacking zombie from earlier. Its level was advanced and its level was 29. As a tough zombie, he decided to try to control it first. Then he used brilliant mist essence concentrated in his arm to create a chain and threw it directly at that zombie, binding it completely. However, the zombie's name easily broke Jang Pyeong's confinement. It let out a roar of anger. Seeing this, he realized that this was not good. This zombie was fundamentally not on the same level as the one before. Then another roaring sound came from near the city wall, spreading throughout the forest outside. Both he and Seisei seriously recognized that this sound was from inside Myeonju City. Could it be that the enemy has already entered the city? At the Myeonju City, at the north gate, a pack of mutated beasts was charging straight toward the city. There was a group of people waiting there. A man with a scruffy beard had gathered enough spiritual power for a one-hit, one-kill punch that could knock away any mutated beast charging at him. He claimed to be the owner of the master of the Beast King, Bu Reixian. Then he took a deep breath and declared mightily, "Today, no one shall step through here." Next to him were others belonging to the master of the Beast King. Suddenly, he noticed something beside him, which was the crowd behind Reixian immediately rushed forward. An old man with gray hair shouted loudly, "Let's move forward together. We absolutely cannot let this pack of beasts come within even a step." Everyone charged to take down each approaching zombie. There was one zombie that was very unusual. It concentrated energy in its hand and lunged forward, but Reixian blocked it with his strong arm. He said to it, "Stop. Just now, I noticed your movements were not at all like those of the other zombies." Reixian gritted his teeth, blocking the attack from this strange zombie. Its strength seemed considerable, and blood began to seep from his hand. The zombie was silent for a few seconds, then changed its attack stance, using its hands to deliver a series of punches and kicks aimed directly at its opponent. Reixian felt this technique was very familiar. This technique resembled the Ape King style. At that moment, Reixian asked the zombie, "Who are you?" But it did not respond, only focusing on delivering its strikes. Suddenly, Reixian had a terrifying thought. Could it be my foolish little brother? Reixian bent down to evade the incoming attack of the zombie in front of him. Taking that opportunity, he closed the distance to its lower abdomen, grabbed its shoulder tightly, then lunged up, using the Beast King fist, Tao Tai Cauldron lift style, to lift it high into the sky, where only the two of them remained. Then he struck down with a powerful blow. The force sent the zombie flying into the ground like a bolt of lightning. After dealing with the dangerous zombie, Reixian used the Crimson Emperor's undying body, hyper regeneration, to restore his health. However, he noticed something glowing next to the zombie's corpse. Reixian picked it up, wondering, did this come from the zombie? Then Reixian felt, why does it look so familiar? When he saw the 3 red characters on the token, he exclaimed in shock, "Is this the token of my senior brother?" He then recalled the technique that the zombie had used. It knew the Beast King fist technique and even carried the token of his senior brother. Since when did that seemingly unconscious zombie get up and rush at its opponent? Reixian also realized, could it be? This is senior brother Rim Banship. Have you been lost for over 30 years? It turned out that the zombie had long recognized Reixian as his junior brother. It thought to itself, "Stupid junior brother, hate me, get angry already." He kept mumbling, "That year you went out to investigate about the missing awakened ones, and yet you ended up missing too." His face was wrinkled, showing great anger. "I never expected you would be turned into a zombie, ending up in this situation." The zombie named Rim Banship charged at him. The two battled each other with continuous punches. It believed that only he could stop it. Suddenly, Reixian said this in a melancholic tone. "Senior brother, have you really ceased to exist?" He recalled when Banship was still at the guild and he fought with his opponent. Banship threw a punch and said, "Be quicker. Come on just a little faster." As Banship punched him away, he explained that the movements of the Wu style should be fluid, not rigid. But after the match ended, Banship always raised his hand towards his opponent and praised. "Although the master never valued you, it's clear that you have improved very quickly." The cheerful smile of the senior brother was still deeply etched in his memory, along with the words, "All right, let's keep practicing. By the time you learn it, wouldn't that embarrass the old man?" Reixian blocked the incoming attack from the zombie. Inside, he silently realized, is that so? Since what had his face been streaming with tears, his voice softened as he asked, "Brother's power, why has it become so weak and powerless over time?" Reixian, furious, hurled his opponent away and shouted in anger, "How dare you insult the Beast King fist technique, insult my elder brother like that?" His whole body seemed to heat up. He grabbed his shirt, decisively tearing it apart and throwing it away. Ray Seon was determined that no matter who the perpetrator was, he had to drag him out today. Thus, he entered the state of Crimson Emperor's undying body, Crimson Blood Ignition. The current temperature was 500, along with increasing stamina, mana, and agility. Before attacking, he reminded everyone, others, step back, don't get caught in the crossfire. Finished speaking, he shot forward like a spark, instantly appearing in front of the zombie. Rim Banshee coldly struck straight into its chest. Like a hammer, a blow erupted with flames. He struck once and then delivered another blow. As Ray Seon attacked, he cried for his elder brother. In the end, he unleashed a powerful finishing blow. The blow was like a blazing fire spreading far and wide. The zombie, before being engulfed in that fire, had only one thought. You are very strong, junior brother. That it was completely submerged in that blinding light. Ray Seon turned and walked away, leaving the zombie lying forlorn on the ground along with the words, "Rest in peace, senior brother." Suddenly, an ancient voice appeared. Yet you dare to strike my proud masterpiece like this? Then you shall take his place. Ray Seon stopped, turned back, and asked, "Who are you?" He was startled, realizing something. Then he unleashed his energy and questioned the other party. "You are the one who turned my senior brother into a zombie, right?" Hae Myong was not to be underestimated either. He unleashed dark energy and provocatively asked, "So what if it is?" His red pupils glowed like a superior looking down, he said. "Do you think a mosquito like you can stop my army?" Behind Hae Myong were thousands of zombies rushing forward madly. At that moment, in the Ju family, a plan to kidnap the Saintets had failed. Therefore, the cleanup team began investigating the Ju family. Later, the plan to create chaos at the blacksmith succeeded, leading to Wol Seo Jin being dragged outside. Currently, he is desperately searching for Jang Pyeong in the city. The infiltration of the mutant beasts into the City Lord mansion led to a defeat for the City Lord. The dynasty was completely severed from the mutant beasts. Furthermore, the plan to kidnap the Saintess within the City Lord mansion also failed. At the same time, a large number of heavenly eternal foxes had gathered in the mansion. The cleanup army headquarters needed to investigate the purpose of the Ju family. First was to lure the heavenly eternal foxes, second was to exploit the Saintess to control the heavenly eternal foxes, and finally to dominate the city of Myeonju. Later, during the investigation, they realized that the incident concerning the dynasty was also related to the holy ancestor village. Thus, they successfully reactivated the illusory curtain and gathered strategies within the city. Zombies were attacking, with the first wave of zombies approaching the northern gate and moving to the western and eastern gates. The southern gate was blocked by mountains, so there was no risk of invasion from that direction. Currently, the northern gate had successfully rallied the Beast King and the Awakened Ones. Meanwhile, in a holy ancestor village, the subordinates were standing by, awaiting orders from their leader. A young man with a stone bracelet knelt down to report to the other party. "Master, everyone has gathered." She turned around and boldly declared, "Everyone, heed my command. Move out. This time there will be collaboration with a primary army of zombies to disrupt the order of the city. You may conveniently seize some supplies and take the opportunity to spread the word along the way." After that, the leader stated, "But once Brother Joe C successfully brings back the Saintess, we must immediately evacuate and not stay for even a moment." Instantly, everyone obeyed and carried out their tasks. Only the one wearing the stone ring stayed behind to ask. He said he has some questions. Could the mutated beast of king level in the city become a factor causing instability? And one more thing, they have already declared war. Why evacuate after the Saintess is brought back? The woman replied, "Are you talking about that old fox? In fact, it has awakened a long time ago and is now waiting for failure to make its appearance." Upon hearing this, he asked seriously, "So if we attack right now, won't the army be in danger?" The leader of the holy ancestor village smiled and told him, "Don't worry." She explained, "Although the awakening of the Saintess is not yet complete, the influence she has cannot be easily dismissed even by king-level mutated beasts. For now, as long as they take her away, the heavenly eternal fox will not act recklessly. If they want to capture Myeonju City, then aside from the fox, the only thing that poses the greatest threat to them is the failure of the cleanup team, which is being led by that person." Therefore, she arranged for the assassin to open the city gates, allowing the zombies to flood into the city with the aim of causing enough chaos. Their plan was, first, to use the Saintess as a decoy to initiate war and let the zombies enter the city. If the cleanup team wants to completely resolve this large-scale invasion, there is no other way but to activate the Sun and Moon Myeonju. After failing, they would use Sun and Moon Myeonju to purge all types of aberrant creatures, reverting the zombies in the city to their primitive forms. This, however, would mean exposing themselves and the cleanup team. As for the reason to retreat, without the Saintess, it would be impossible to control the fox. In that case, the cleanup team would be exposed, and after a fight between the fox and the cleanup team, both sides would suffer losses. If we attack Myeonju once again, wouldn't that make it easy for us to seize it? The one wearing the stone ring still seemed doubtful. However, according to the detective's information, the Ju family appears to be coveting the Saintess's power. Could they influence this action? The leader of Holy Ancestor Village had no worries at all, as she had already sensed it. She guessed the Saintess was in a state of confusion. In this case, the Ju family wouldn't be able to persuade her, because the Ju family was just sitting idly by. The reason she sent her cousin to pick up the Saintess was that the holy blood essence flowing in their bodies could communicate directly with her. Perhaps to blind everyone's eyes and ears, high-ranking members of the Ju family would not be directly involved in this matter. If the members of the Ju family in the city wanted to use force to take the Saintess away, they wouldn't stand a chance against the Josie brothers. He listened to her explain the doubts and suddenly realized, shouting. The leader clarifies. Finally, she told him, "Let's go. We should set off." The one wearing the stone ring immediately obeyed. At that moment, a dagger made from brilliant mist essence was thrust upward. It was Sasa and Jang Pyeong struggling to deal with the attacking zombies. He killed one and moved to eliminate another, annoyed, saying, "There are too many. At this rate, we won't be able to finish this." While attacking, he suddenly sensed something. Turning his head, he saw a tall zombie wielding an axe preparing to sneak attack from behind. He quickly warned, "Sasa, be careful." She heard this and turned her head back. The guy quickly charged toward her. Sesai used the ice sword to block, but his strike was too strong, causing the ice sword to shatter and her to be knocked away, landing on the ground. He immediately jumped at her, not giving Sesai a chance to recover. Jang Pyeong was blocked by other low-level zombies. The amount of brilliant mist essence was too low. He panicked. Damn it. The brilliant mist essence is almost gone. Sessa could only watch helplessly as the tall zombie swung an axe at her. Everything was happening too fast. Jang Pyeong desperately shouted, "Sessa, be careful." As it delivered a powerful blow to finish her off, a sturdy shield intercepted its attack. A person smirked provocatively, "My grandpa's shield is no pushover." Sessa looked at the large armored figure in front of her and recognized him as Jang Soo-jung. From a distance, swords were flying towards them, accurately targeting the zombies holding Jang Pyeong. He looked at the sword and guessed that the sword illusions were from Yudua, right? The zombies were thoroughly dealt with by those sword illusions. On the other side, there was also a girl kicking a zombie away. That was John Seal Yip. She hurriedly said, "I'm sorry, we were late." The axe-wielding zombie that attacked earlier is now the target of the phantom swords. 3 swords plunged straight into the ground, but the zombie dodged to another spot. The one who used the phantom swords just now was John Myeong. He looked at Seisa and asked, "Getting used to that sword technique yet?" She braced herself on her sword, trying to stand up, and shouted at him, "Shut up."